Hello and welcome to UKVersus episode 8 Undaunted Raiding Party. I
Yeah,
thought
hello everyone. Welcome. So
I'm
yeah, I think we're just gonna
yeah.
chat about promos, provisional promos, plus ultra promos. Sort of have a look at those. Go about
Well, I
all that.
think I think we should probably start with the biggest news that just dropped is that a lot of places picked up on it that there seems to have been a printing error within Undaunted Raid, and Jasco within the last hour put out the official statement saying that they are aware of this issue, and if you're suffering from this issue, let the message them on the community universe's email. I've got it up on the screen, but if you go to any of the social media links as well, it's all on there. And not a lot of players like to have a go to Jasco. So this is a speedy response to an issue that players picked up on and got Jasco aware of. And I think this is really good on that two days in they've identified this problem. Yes, the printing error needs to be sorted out with shipping, so it's not something they can immediately fix. But it's great that they're aware of it, and it's great that they're already saying to players, come forward with your issues, and we will make it right.
Yeah, I mean that was the other thing I was going to mention is just dramas, right? And just the various dramas and people overblowing everything and how much it utterly frustrates me. So I'll probably get a bit ranty later because I'm an old man. I'm allowed to.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, obviously, yes. This is like one of the big ones, and obviously, this isn't sort of their fault. Like printing errors happen. It's like it's a thing, and everyone was like, again on the Discord, because it was a thing that happened, and thus everyone's ready to jump and cause a drama and stamp their feet and behave like frankly petulant fucking children. Um, and yeah, and like, where's the communication? Where's the communication? And like, honestly, just can you live in the real world for 5 minutes? Because these things don't happen immediately, right?
yeah,
They are a company. That they aren't like some sort of charity that are doing all this thing for let's be real here, that they're doing it. They're a profit making company. Sure, they want to do things right and make a good game and engender a good community and all that stuff, but like bottom line, they're a company. They're trying to make money,
yeah.
so they
And
have to factor these things. They'll have legal teams, I'm assuming.
and
Well, again, I don't really know how big Jasco are, but they'll have people who are proofreading like their statements and stuff. They have to get these things
yeah,
right, because if they
that's
get them wrong, then it becomes even worse. And that's a subject we'll get into. I'll probably rant about more later. But like,
everything. Yeah, every statement, everything that comes from a Jasco employee will have to be approved by legal. Will have to be very carefully worded, and that's why you won't see things like the word sorry or any kind of apology within statements, because that's an admission of liability and can lead to lawsuits. Because when I was doing my law degree, one of the first things we learned is if you're ever in a car accident, you never say sorry, because sorry is an admission of guilt, and insurances will use that against you.
yeah,
Macapple has got asking in the chat if for the next point of drama, Clash deck reprints. There's been no.
yeah,
They're completely sold out in America, as far as I'm aware. Overhaul is selling out very quickly in the UK. I know a couple of places have still got Mirio, but I can't seem to find Overhaul anymore. It's probably still in some brick and mortar stores, but online it seems to be completely gone. And we got the notification from Jasco that there was a printed shortage, that some places are going to be out of luck. Hopefully they'll get on top of that, and we'll get those some more printing of those, because these are really good decks. I managed to get a playset of everything in the packs, and yeah, I'm absolutely happy with these decks. The trick,
yeah. It's obviously so again, it's part of that. They're going through a process, right?
yeah,
Um, they're going through a process of trying to improve things like it's set up. And I appreciate, that, UVS universes, whatever, has been around for a long time, but this is new world Jasco with Paul and Lohan, right? They've only really been doing it since MHA, from my understanding. So this is an iterative process they're going to, and there's obviously been a lot of growing pains, and some of the various one step forward, two steps backs and stuff. But I think everyone can, if you're going to be objective and not a drama queen about things, you can see they are making lots of improvements, right?
yeah.
they've got rid of things like quirk packs and stuff like that. They are toning down the mechanically neat promos, which is great. I'm never going to be one to defend mechanically neat promos. They got rid of DLC, which is great, which I think
Yeah,
for both players and shops. And
DLC was.
they got rid of the first edition thing, which is great. But with the whole Chromes thing, it
Yeah,
makes it difficult from that printing perspective, right?
I
Because they can't do a second print run and say this is the same edition, but it doesn't have a chance of Chromes.
yeah, personally, I
So they,
wish. Go on, I'll
they've
finish.
had to try and, I guess, gauge what the demand is, right? They don't want to do a Fallen Empires, which for anyone who has played Magic was a set that nearly killed the game because they just printed it into absolute oblivion and it was worthless and it almost killed shops. So they can't really necessarily do a print to demands type thing. They have to sort of set their print run, put their 500 chromes in, and hope that was correct. With the Clash decks, obviously they said it was one printing, but that's something they could, in theory, print more of because there's no randomized content, right?
Yeah, there's no URs this time, so it's just.
Yeah.
But yeah, going back, I think the Clash decks will easily get a reprint because they needed these other boosters. I do wish they had waited a set before getting rid of the first edition, or even just printed one going. These ones have a chance of Chrome. These ones don't have a chance of Chrome because the one set printing is great for Chrome hunting, and we've seen so many more Chromes being pulled now than during set 3. I personally just feel bad for our Oceanic players who haven't had a chance to do this. The chances of them getting Chromes keep constantly going down, and with being a single print set, the chances of them actually just getting hold of cards is dramatically going down. And I've heard rumblings of players being very unhappy, and especially with what happened with the RLE, with a lot of Oceanic players having to be on a waiting list again. Yep, they all got in to play in the RLE, but being on a waiting list to get into your own RLE is kind of bad. We're probably not making friends with Jasco at this point when we're saying this, but it would be honest.
I mean, it's no, I'm not trying to bash Jasco.
No.
Bash Jasco here, right? It's just these are things that are there and are visible. And I think there are ways of approaching these issues and trying to be positive and learn from it and not just be a drama. Oh my god, it's Jasco, they're always terrible and blah blah blah, and just spend 17 hours on the Discord posting the same thing over and over again. When it's like, okay, what can we constructively learn from this? And I think to say, oh, they're always the same, they never listen, they're anti-consumer, and honestly, so much other nonsense. And it's clear they are making strides, right? They are clear they are trying to make things, but like these things do not happen overnight. Like, let's say we'll go back to the print one of these Clash decks, right? If they wanted to print more, I'm sure they could, but it's not like a case of, okay, let's print another couple of hundred. In order for them to make it financially viable for them, I'd imagine they have to print quite a lot of them, and that might be more than the actual extra demand there is. So again, they're a for-profit company,
and it's not like they can just have them printed out and have them shipped out tomorrow. It takes time.
Yeah, like printing probably gets done months in advance. Again, this is part of it. Like, so for example, I don't see the format of a class reunion deck being the same going forward because of all the issues with it, right?
No.
But this was clearly planned and printed a lot in advance of the changes to things like set 5 with quirk packs, with DLCs and stuff was made. Like guaranteeing characters. Yeah, it's like as McCaffrey says, like there's clear evidence of them listening and making those changes. They've toned down the provisional promos like to a smaller pool. They've tried. They're obviously making attempts and stuff, and not all of these things are going to land, right? No. Not all of them are going to be correct. Not all of them are going to work, but they're clearly trying to do things in a positive way.
Well, I mean, you can,
and like Saber says, like I'll defend Jasco, and I'll pick him up when I think they're fucking up and stuff. I have zero defense for Asmodee. They're a piece of shit, and cause problems for not only Jasco games, everything, and every retailer has issues.
So
with Asmodee
the way I can justify it in my head is if I call out Jasco for when they mess up, 9 times out of 10 they'll hold their hands up and go, "Yeah, we messed up," or "Yeah, we're delayed," and they will let us know, even if it's us having to prompt them to do it. Asmodee will just sit there and they'll go, "They're coming, they're coming, they're coming, they're coming." Oh, they're not coming anymore. In this case, oh, you're just gonna have to wait. In this case, like, I think their main office is like an hour and a half down the road from me, and I just want to really go down sometime, and just sit there and just go and shout at people going by.
Take a poo on their doorstep.
But
there is obvious evidence of Jasco listening and making the changes. Like I say, quirk packs, like the SR changes once per box. That's great. Like the fact that actually all these SRs are playable, but you don't necessarily need them, so it adds value to those boxes. I think there is value in cracking like a set 5 box, right? Even if you don't get the chrome. That's from a player perspective, from in that sort of secondary market, you want a box probably should be like maybe a little bit below retail, like as an average expected value from it, because if they're above, then you end up in arbitrage type.
There's evidence of Jasco listening since day one, because although we didn't get access to day one, we got it 6 months later down the line. They got the set 1 boxes and it had the Go Beyond promo, and that was the biggest complaint, was this Go Beyond promo, which was unplayable, and every box got one. And then immediately set 2, it was replaced with a box topper XR.
Yeah.
And then the biggest complaint was box toppers themselves, these mechanically unique promos, which were on there. There was at least 1 or 2 in every single set, which were absolutely insane. And then newer players.
Yeah, he had like Sugar Rush probably in set 2, and then Learning the Standards, I don't think took off straight away, but then became one of their big players. Set 3, the obvious ones, obviously Chivalrous.
Yep.
And then you've got the characters in there that you're just getting multiple of, and you just hate,
exactly.
You'd always get those. What was it? The Flamey Guy and Death Arms as like your 2.
Yeah. I opened a case of set 3, and I think I got 4 or 5 Death Arms in there, and it was absolutely insane. But yeah, you've got Chivalrous Competitor, of course. You've got Valiant Assault. You've got Learning Standards, Sugar Rush,
Spice to an extent.
Capture Evildoers.
Yeah, all these cards are very good and playable.
You can't redeem them. You can't get them from packs. New players either had to go for the secondary market. They had to go for the secondary market or risk buying a box. And casual players generally had to go for the secondary market. So I think it's a good move to get rid of the box toppers, as much as it annoys Kyle, who is collecting sealed XRs.
I think they could have left that as here's your little treat for buying the full box as an extra XR, right? I think that felt like the weird one to get rid of, from my perspective. Saber, get out of the chat. You've got a cry, you're not loud.
Or at least transition it so you get 1 more Chrome in it, maybe 1 more XR in a box for the losing of it.
Yeah, it would have been nice to have that like little sealed XR just as a nice kind of thing for buying a box, but it doesn't really matter that much.
But yeah,
because it again's not mechanically unique.
Yeah, and moving on to like the cases, the fact that you're guaranteed to get 1 SR now in every box. At least for this set, we don't know how it's going to be when we move to Blast Turbo. But
do you mean Jetburn?
Jetburn, sorry. I keep calling it Blast Turbo. I don't know why. Jetburn. When we move to Jetburn, it might be completely different. But the biggest thing for me is that you're not guaranteed 1 of each SR anymore. When you bought a case, you're guaranteed to get 1 of each SR. Now it's still completely random, so you could end up getting 4 Chronostasis triggers. You're not guaranteed to get You're not guaranteed to get all 6 in the case.
Yeah, I mean that's by the by. It's a randomness thing. Like I'm not fussed about that. Like you get again, nothing's guaranteed, right?
No.
But because they never can. And I'd imagine like 99% of boxes, you open a box, you get 1 SR. There are going to be boxes that have 0, but that's a randomness thing. Like they can't guarantee it.
Yeah, that's there's when people complain about missing commons and uncommons. I know a couple of the French players were saying that there was some missing. And Chris Smith made a very good point of just saying, buying a box, buying a case, buying anything in this game does not guarantee you 1 of each card.
No. It's there's the gacha element to it, right?
Yeah.
You're not. It's a random element. You're buying booster packs. You're buying scratch cards to an extent, um, and obviously there have been printing issues with this set. There obviously have been because of the common uncommon print run thing, and I think it's a not unreasonable expectation that if you buy a case, you've got your place at a common uncommons by far, and people just are missing loads of them, and that's obviously a weird thing that's happened. So there's obviously a
The
printing issue gone
yeah,
on somewhere.
the funniest one for me has got to
Obviously,
be.
there's been talk of print runs in terms of the rares and ultra rares and XR slots. So I think Steve Claxton was saying like he got a case, and I think his cousin got a case, and they had exactly the same rares, ultra rares, XRs in each case.
I think it was.
Um,
I think it was a box each, not like a complete case, because I know Andrew Holder bought a case,
hmm,
opened two boxes, and and the rares were pretty. I think it was maybe one or two different, but the rares for both the boxes that he opened in one of his cases were the exact same all the way down.
yeah. So I don't know whether Jasco have used the different printers or there was some issue, but there's clearly been a printing issue going on. And I would imagine they're going to look into it behind the scenes, and they're not going to tell anyone because it's none of our
Oh,
fucking business,
Apple
right?
confirms it was. Apple confirms it was a complete case. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those things that a million monkeys and a million typewriters. You're gonna end up with cases that are the exact same. It's just very serendipitous that they ended up buying those cases at the same time.
Yeah,
Sabir,
again, but it means there's obviously some amount of non-randomness that's gone on here, right? It's very
Sabir's.
unlikely
Oh, um,
that two people buy the same case are going to get the same distribution. So there's obviously printing issues. We know that they're doing what they can to fix it. People getting the same rares, ultra rares layout, like that's like a sorry, random. There's not what they can do about that. Um, I don't know. There shouldn't be any short printing of specific ultra rares like we had, like where all like the Frigids and Detroits went in the starter decks. I think
yeah,
that was what happened there. Um, but yeah, like again, they're acknowledging what they can, but again, there is just this unreasonable expectation from the community that Jasker are some sort of charity slash they're doing it for the good of the players. And sure, they're trying to make it positive. They're trying to make it as good as they can. They are a company. They are trying to make money. I'm sure they have. I don't know if they've got shareholders. I don't know what the status of Jasker as a company are, but like that's what they're trying to do. So they're going to, and you see it with every single bloody company in the world. Like they don't release information until it's absolutely set in stone, and like they're absolutely certain of what they're saying, because if they get it wrong, like it's so much
well,
worse,
that's why.
because they know the community is a bunch of fucking drama queens. And like if like say for example they Lenoco was like, oh yeah, we've known this, we see there's a thing, we're looking behind the scenes at it, I'm sure we're going to put in some sort of like redemption type thing like they've done here. And then he went back to the high ups and they were like, sorry, we've the cards that went out, those commons uncommons must be another pact, it's random, we're not going to do anything about it. Then Lenoco gets strung from the rafters because he said something that now the high ups aren't honouring, and it's like he's promised something that now he can't do. So again, there needs to be this reasonable expectation of they are aware, they do read this stuff, but understand how communication works with companies. It's not like a mom and pop store, right? They are engaged with the community much more than most other companies,
Yeah,
and sometimes people take that for granted. And I think Lenoco knows that everyone loves him and we understand his position. But honestly, a lot of the vitriol and stuff in the main Discord just drives me up the wall because it
how
just doesn't get anywhere. It doesn't solve anything. Like if you've got a legitimate complaint, put it out there, let it fucking go.
I don't know
And
how
people just
many.
can't.
I
And
don't
it
know how many
just
games there are where if you've got an issue, you can go straight to the head of organized play, straight to the head
yeah.
of marketing. I mean, for the case of some of us who managed to go to HLC and meet up with Paul and Lyle and some of the others, where you can, like when we had the issue with class reunion, I went straight to Paul and I was like, I know Lenoko's on holiday. I know Alex is very busy sorting out organized play. I don't usually like to. I don't want to bother you with this, but can you look into what's going on with class reunion? And he's like, yeah, I'll get the team on it.
Exactly.
And going to the guy that owns the company over a distribution issue is insane.
Like, just think, if you're playing Magic the Gathering, do you think you have any sort of remote chance of contacting anyone remotely important or has any sort of information? Of course not. You do not have that. You just suckle from their teat and they give you what you want, what they think you want, and if you don't like it, tough, right? And we've almost have it a little too good sometimes. And I'm not saying Jasker are faultless and they make everything perfect. So just to answer your question, McApple, communication tool set in stone comment. What do you think Jasker will do about Union promos? Originally stated there'll be all arts of cars. Now they seem to be unique unless they go in later set.
If you look at the class reunion boxes, they weren't meant to come out when they came out. They were supposed to come out before set 4. If you actually look at the Rich hasn't bought any, but if you look at the promotional material inside of them, they were supposed to come out before set 4. It was all the information in there was about pre-releasing set 4 and the characters coming up in set 4. This was meant to be a Christmas production box that had promos, all type promos of the first 3 sets. And due to unknown circumstances, it got changed, it got delayed, it got changed, it got delayed. And I don't think we'll see anything like Class Reunion again for a while.
Yeah. So I think that's one of those situations they probably comment, and again, it's probably one of those things where they made some last minute changes, right? And it kind of shuffled around things. And again, obviously they've had a lot of backlash over it. And I think they've had more backlash over the way the class union went than if they hadn't mentioned it was going to be all arts and then sort of changed it later. I don't think people would have liked them, but if they'd have known up front how they were, I think it would have been toned down. So because of the way they did that communication, I think they've got a lot more hit over it. And the other thing about the alt arts and stuff, people calling for that as promos, and then again, I think that's the way to go. But the other thing to bear in mind is how their art approval process works. Because to my understanding, their art approval process is a freaking nightmare with their the parent IP owner of MHA.
We'll get to the Disaster comment in a second, but going back to Class Reunion, any time that Jasco print mechanically unique promos that aren't available through Redemption, they're always going to suffer backlash from collectors, casual players, and competitive players because it's a product that we now have to purchase to keep up with the game, and I don't know how much it will impact, but I bought some because I don't want to be in a situation where if I'd been running Runaway, I don't want to be then looking around trying to find people who have copies of Runaway before an event. I make sure I've got the decks, make sure I can do the testing, because there are some very good cards in Class Reunion, and that's the issue. If they were all mediocre cards that we're probably not going to see play outside the tabletop, outside the kitchen table, that's fine. But the fact that you're running cards like Masterminding and Runaway, and to a lesser extent you've got Blazing Icicle, which can have a massive impact on the way games go down.
Well, there's the 2 big ones, right? The Future is Now and Runaway, and everything else is like fringe play, but those are the big ones. Again, I'm not going to defend Class Reunion. I can hate it as a product in terms of the way the promos are done. I like the idea of this cool fat pack with all the cool gumph in it. That's great. The mechanically neat promos that aren't on Redemption can fuck off. So I think it's probably time to maybe segue in a moment into the new promos that have been announced. But Disaster Dan, obviously, your case are affected. That shit.
Yeah.
Are you a UK guy, or are you just
I believe Disaster Dan is US, but I'm happy to be corrected. But yeah, I would like to see for the end of 2023 a holiday pack, kind of like what they used to do in Magic and stuff like. Because I used to love buying them just to get like the big case that you can store your cards in, and just get one or two alt-art promos, some nice packs, kind of like just building up a little. It's like a little draft box that you can use against other people. I'd love to have that, but yeah, as Rich was saying, let's segue over because we could probably talk about this for the entirety of the episode, but we don't want to have the entire episode just be us coming on negative because as Richard pointed out, at the moment there's already a lot of negativity in the community,
and again, Jasco are well aware of this stuff, and when they've got stuff in concrete they can tell us, they will do. They know about this stuff. They are making positive changes, and sure, they make fuck ups because they're human, but people just need to get over it and get off their high fucking horses.
But before we had all the issues with Undaunted Raid, we had last weekend unofficially we had all the Plus Ultra spoiled. Then on Monday we had Provisional spoiled. I actually got to play the game physically, and I was with my friends on the site, and we were all just losing our mind over those Provisional. We'll get to them. And then we got Plus Ultra leading up to the week. We thought about doing it on Tuesday, but we thought we'll leave it till all out because I am hyped for everything that's coming from here. But I've got all the
there were some stinkers, but they're all sort of decent.
Let's start off with the actions. We've got 3 cost, 4 check, battle for the future, 4 plus mid block, but you're probably never blocking with it. The artwork is gorgeous, and response: discard 2 momentum. After your rival plays an attack, discard it from the card pool. When this card leaves your card pool, remove it. It's decoy. It's decoy duplicate.
Goes hard in Denki 2.
Yeah.
It's decent.
Denki 1 can run it. Selkie can run it.
Yeah, it's just like
All for One can probably get away with it as a sideboard card because you.
But again, I think with those you've mostly got access to decoy duplicate.
Yeah.
And obviously this is a from hand, right?
The biggest difference between this and decoy duplicate is this works against flash. So specialized sound waves, just they respond.
Yeah, it does, but it doesn't mean you put it on the board and it's like, do you want to press your buttons? Do you want to spend your stuff? And it's like sometimes the threat of decoy duplicate is enough, right?
Yeah.
But this is good. And it might be one of those things that you play like a copy or 2 in the sideboard, but discard 2 momentum is a high cost, right? Especially given I think a lot of people are going to be running even more momentum right now. So it's solid, and I suspect it's one of those cards that isn't going to be all over the place, but I think they're going to be people playing the odd copy here and there, maybe main deck, maybe sideboard. But discard momentum is a real cost.
1 second, I want to see if I can do something nuts. Let's have a look. Could you overhaul this? So you use the overhaul once per turn. You take the attack. They play their next attack, and then you respond with this from the stage.
I don't see why not. It says play. It's just you.
Yeah, it says play one face.
You play.
Play one face down from your stage as your next card. Ignore progressive. If it's your rival's turn, discard 1 card. So yeah, I think you probably could.
Yeah, you could have an on-board hand trap, but again, you've got to have those 2 momentum, right?
Yeah, it's not that with this set. Momentum matters, which is why I think Exploding Pride stock's about to go up.
Yeah. Like I say, it's good. You're not going to. I don't think you'll be playing 4 copies. I mean, probably Denki 2 plays 4 copies because he has momentum for years.
True.
But yeah, it's one of those ones where I don't know whether it's going to be a sideboard or maybe a copy or 2 of the main deck as just a get out of jail free card sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, 2 momentum is a real cost.
Certain characters will definitely be running at least 1 copy.
Yeah.
But
it's like a Nullify, right? It didn't see huge amounts of play, but it did see the odd bit of play here and there as like a one or two in the sideboard. So it kind of, to me, falls into that sort of gap. Like it's got that 4 check, it's got the 4 block, so it's not even like you're blocking with this card.
No.
Uh, does it do things in Bubble Girl? I don't know. But
Probably not. Not at the moment. But yeah.
uh,
So let's move on
but
to
yeah,
the next
it's
action,
fine.
which is
Mhm.
Strong Arm. Free cost 5 check +1 high. Always good to see. Form. Change each combo requirement of. Change each combo requirement of your next attack to punch. Response: discard momentum after your rival makes check to block with a non-attack. Their check gets -3.
And obviously, this does have the punch keyword if you didn't mention
Yeah.
that. This is the stinker. This is a stinker. This is bad. My
Really?
beef with this, yeah, it's bad. My beef with this is right. You're changing combo requirements for your next attack to punch. So you're going to play, I don't know, let's say a double jab pummel, uh, and change from charge to punch. Great. What happens when you don't draw this card? You're playing combo requirements that do nothing, and so like, yeah, it's just the
I
discard
see
of
that.
momentum for effectively 3 speed. Like, I just think this card's bad, and I'm never going to play it. There might be a world where you do crazy things with this.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is the fact that you're adding +1 to your progressive in order to change the combo to punch.
Yeah, and it's
That
like, so it means you can sort of almost lead on an attack without having to play an attack first, almost like play it as your first attack. So you could play almost like, so yeah, you could play. I know it doesn't share symbols, but you could play double jab as your first attack, right? Effectively. Um, but like, what's that? What's that getting you?
you could play it and then play Howitzer as your first attack.
Yeah, sure, you could because it's got fire, right?
I
But
think
like,
if you're running a lot of combos, it might be good. But the main issue is a lot of the combos you're probably wanting to run have already got the punch on there, but the symbols don't really match up anyway.
yeah, Chiefs. Why it's not one difficulty? I agree.
Yeah.
Also, why is this a card? I don't know. I just don't think I'm ever playing this at all.
Uh,
Like again, there's going to have to be a very specific thing, and it's like I want to do a very specific thing with it, and I have to make sure I just draw those 2 cards.
so the last of the previewed abilities from the article, we've got
Yeah,
the meaning of
we
manly.
have Ether Vial.
I don't know what that is. 2 cost 5 check +2 low. Well, that's good. Low blocks always allowed. Ally unique response after you take damage from an unblocked attack. Add 1 manly spirit counter to this card. Commit your next attack with a printed difficulty equal to the number of manly spirit counters on this card. Passes no check necessary.
Okay, so to give you an idea of why the comparison, Ether Vial was an artifact from Magic. You put it into play, it
Uh,
cost 1, and every turn you could put a counter on it, and then you could tap it and then just put a creature into play that cost exactly the amount of mana as the number of counters. So this does the same thing. It just effectively puts an attack into play with the exact amount of counters without paying mana / make them check.
the my biggest gripe about this card is you have to take 4 attacks before it even goes online for
It's not even
Modern.
that, right? There's multiple. You have to take 4 damage before it basically does anything.
Well, 4 attacks. It's every time
Four
you
attacks.
take
Well,
damage.
yeah,
Yeah,
sorry, four lots of damage.
yeah.
Secondly, what happens when you draw this on turn 4? It's blank. Like it's effectively now just the 2 low block and nothing else because you never put this into play. It does nothing because after then you're not taking 4 attacks and not dying. Like again, because it's the same problem with Ether Vial. Ether Vial was bonkers when you drew it on turn 1. When you drew it on turn 5, it was blank and it was like rubbish. It's a very very high variance card, and you can't be sitting there and taking like 4 5 6 damage attacks and just like thinking that then you're going to get there with this and hoping for the best. Like you need to be playing with like if you're playing like a heavy damage reduction type thing, right? Um, And so you're making, okay, so I'm just saying this attack's only doing 1 damage. I'll take one, cool, add a counter. Cool, I'll reduce it down, I'll take two. Like something like an Endeavour 2, where it can say I'll just remove 4 damage and just take one from that, or something like that, or like a muscular that's wants to take damage. Maybe a recovery girl that's
Yeah,
happy to
that's what I
respond.
was about to bring up. Is
So
this
there's some decks that could make use of this, and I think it's a very limited amount of decks that really want to
this
do it.
this could
And
be a very
even
good.
then, like,
Yeah.
what are they doing? They're just are they stringing? Because you want to be using this to say play your fourth, fifth attack in your string, right? Like just doing this to make your first attack not a check. Like, what's the point? I don't like it. I think it's a cool thing, and I think it's a very like. I think is it a Timmy thing or is it a Johnny thing? I don't know. I can't remember the
Don't think. I don't
archetype.
think. I think it's more timid. I think Johnny is the aggressive one. No, Spike's the aggressive one.
Spike's the very
Yeah,
competitive.
but I
Um,
think I think this finds a home in Recovery Girl. Good. I think
this
even as
this
just a
is
one
one of the
off.
coolest like casual cards, kitchen table cards, right? Because you're gonna do cool things this on a kitchen table. I don't see this ever seeing competitive play. I
If
might be
I,
entirely wrong.
if I'm sat across from my Recovery Girl player, uh,
But they don't need it
oh,
because by the time they're deciding they're going to kill you, they're just sending like 3 or 4 attacks and they've got 87 foundations in play. So it doesn't matter. Their checks
oh
are
no
relevant anyway.
no, I hate this. I hate this even more now because it has to be exactly equal to the number of Mali Spirit counters. It's not equal
Yeah,
or
yeah,
less.
yeah. That Ether Vol is exactly the same.
No,
Um,
yeah, no. I thought it was equal or less. So if once you get to like 6, you're fine because you can play anything. But no, you need to have.
so yeah, Chiefs is saying you wish it was a move cost and you could play an attack from your discard pile. That becomes a little more interesting. Um, if it had like do that and then had a second ability like form remove, play an attack from your discard pile with a difficulty equal to the manly spirit, no check necessary, and it's got those two things, and all of a sudden it's got a little bit more spice to it. Even then, I probably wouldn't play it, but like it's got a bit more interesting.
I think the easiest change in the big and the way it becomes a lot more playable is you change the first line to just every time you lose life, add one
No,
tower.
again, that becomes too easy to abuse. Like, I think yeah, you need to play at a damage reduction. Like, but even then, I'm just like,
Earth's got amp damage
no,
reduction. Recover
the
go.
payoff does not, to me, merit the setup. And
No,
if you ever play this after turn two, like turn two, you can sort of get away with it and it being fine. After that, it's blank.
it's an okay sealed card, which cannot be played in sealed.
Sure. And after that, it's just a two low block, and you never put it again play because it's embarrassing.
And now we've
Um,
got one of the ones that most people are really hyped for: Trigger.
yeah.
Two,
So this is obviously a big thing for Mimic, but
yeah.
yeah, we'll go through it.
2 cost, 5 check, 2 high block. Tech response: remove lose 2 life after you play an ability on your character. Draw 1 card and ready 1 foundation that has not been ready this combat phase. Mimic response: once per turn after you make a check to play a card, that check gets +1 playable while committed. That's huge.
Yeah, like it's a cheap thing that works what a Mimic does, and then like you can response remove. So you can't. That's not playable while committed, is it?
No, that one isn't playable while committed, but
So
most.
you can't commit it. Respond. So you can't commit it to pass a check. Respond. Can you?
Uh, you can commit it to pass the check, and then you can.
Respond for the
Add,
+1,
you could.
but you couldn't. You can't then respond
Well,
for the
no,
remove -2 health.
no, you can't respond for the remove -2
No.
health. But yeah, so but you also can't respond for +1 to the check after you commit to pass the check because it's response on check. What I'm saying is, if you did the +1 to the check then committed it, it doesn't matter that it's playable while committed.
Okay. Yeah.
Because of the way
Essentially it carries over because his mimics once per check or once per turn.
once per turn after you make a check to play a card, that check gets +1 playable while
No,
committed.
no. Mimic's ability.
Yeah.
He can tap
Oh,
1 asset to give a check.
that's any check.
Yeah, okay. So multiple of these work. So like you tap the
Yeah.
first one for the first check. The second check comes in. You give it +1. Tap the second one. The third one comes in.
Oh yeah, the fact that
Yeah,
this isn't unique is just confusing as hell
yeah.
to me.
But again, it's almost certainly like a full of him mimic, right? It's
Yeah.
just outside of him. No,
It might see play in Mei Hatsumi.
maybe, but I don't see it. I think this is
You
just a
draw
cool
a
card.
card. You lose 2 life to draw a card. Ready a foundation. I mean, that's pretty good.
It's losing 2 health, and you've had to have played this previously in a 5-hander. Nah, this is a mimic card, and that's it.
Five. And then we move on to attacks. One of my personal favourites in this set. Hardened Blitz. Charge, Fury, Slam. A 6 cost, 3 check, 4 high for 6, +1 high block. This card cannot leave your card pool due to rivals' effects as a static ability. Enhance. This attack gets +1 speed for every foundation destroyed this turn. Enhance. Destroy a foundation if you have 5 or more cards with hardened or red in your discard pile. This attack gets +5 damage. McApple says they've already pulled one. I want at least 2 of these to put into a Dabby 1 fire deck because I want to be able to go, this is a 5 high for 10 and you can make it a 5/18 throw or destroy all of your foundations and make it unblockable.
Yeah, it's a big old 6 check.
Yeah.
You are basically you need to play with those hardened or reds, and some of those are fine. Like hardened jab is a good card, right?
Plus you've
Red
got
guard is a good card. Hardened uppercut is a good card, but like you're sort of restricting yourself. Like, sure, I'm sure you can do a cute thing in Dabby with this.
well, he has got a whole new kit from Kirishima 3.
Yeah,
And
but is
you
playing like hardened/red tribal better than just playing other good cards and not this
and
for
we've
for
got
the benefit
the
of ace, and it's a 6 diff, right?
we got the errata on this as well, which says that it has to be a individual word of red. It can't just be mixed in with the name of the card.
How what? As in, like, if something had the word credit, for example, in the
Yeah.
name.
So if it has like credit or anything that has like red,
Yeah.
uh,
I mean, that
so
seems obvious, but sure.
yeah, but we card gamers are pedantic. We like to try and
Yeah.
exploit loopholes in there, especially as we've grown as a community, and it's kind of like an MHA thing. Obscurity in cards will be abused by rule sharks, and personally I'm one of those people that will go to the rules questions and be like, can I get away with this? Trying to find ways to break cards, but
You know you're the worst sort of person, right? Just so clear.
I like this. I like its symbols. I like
Again, I think it's cool. I'm not convinced it will see much play. Again, probably it's like a Kirishima 3 card. I mean, you need to be doing Foundation Destruction.
I just personally wish it had Void so I could play double jab pummel with it because it just seems like a great little combination piece there.
Yeah, it's just is it worth the 6 diff, right? Yeah, like that's to me. Is it worth the 6 diff?
On Kirishima, a 4 high for 11 seems very good.
But again, are you playing Harden/Res Tribal? I don't know.
I mean, I know at least one player who will be, and that'll be Kai, who got top 16
Yeah.
at the hourly.
Yeah, like I don't think it's bad. I just like I think you could probably do better things. That's my gut reaction with it. It's just a big old dunk, and I think
Chief points out this would be very good in Bakugo 1. Play Bakugo 1 on Death, and you can just keep kicking cards from your card pool. You could play turn 2, turn 3, get this as a very big card, and play it quite late as well. But the 6 check is an issue for Bakugo 1.
But again, yeah, and that's the thing. It's like you need to play hardened red tribal. Like, is it worth? And I'm not convinced it is. But yeah, it's a cool card. I just don't see it.
Kai Apple going Kai was so awesome. Only he could beat himself. Yep, that he is Amine from Kuroko no Basket. The only person that can beat him is him.
Mm-hmm.
We got the number 6 card, Save a Million Strike, free check, free cost, too high, 2 mid for 2, charge, slam. Response after you block this card, add it to your momentum, enhance, change the zone of this attack.
Stinker.
Uh,
Just doesn't do anything. It's just not worth it. It's not worth. Basically, there's not a card's worth of value here to me. Like it's a block that adds if it's a block that adds itself to momentum, but like, why are we playing this like as a 2 damage? Like it just doesn't do anything.
I could see this finding a
Like,
home in decks that want you to waste resources. I could see this going in a Selkie deck. I could see this going in.
but like, just no one's gonna care about 2 damage. Like,
If it was free damage on chaos, I could see Uabami rocking the hell out of this.
no, again, even then, no, I'm just off it. It just doesn't do anything.
It's not
like,
as good.
sure,
It's a worse Phantom Strike. I think Phantom Strike is a lot better. A Phantom
yeah,
Charge.
yeah. Like I just like I don't know.
Seafood
I'm sure someone
Slugger.
will do something cool with it, but I'm off it.
Seafood Slugger, Clam Slam 2. 4 cost, free check, free
This is
low
one
for
of the good
4.
ones.
2 low block. If this guy's anti momentum, add it face up. Face up for momentum. Seal 1 rival foundation. Seems good. If you have more momentum than your rival, discard 1 asset, destroy 1 asset, and add the top card of your deck to your momentum.
This is a good one, and this is like to me, like because so obviously I'm looking at decks for provisionals and things. For me and the boy, and he really likes the idea of Amajiki, just because he was a Denki 1 gamer, right? That was his deck for up to now, and Amajiki feels like a very Denki 1 adjacent. Except he gets to do cool things, and so he's been playing a bit of Denki 1. That's not Denki, Amajiki. And this to me feels like an instant like 1 to 2 of an Amajiki. You don't play 4, but like as a nice low block, yeah, and with a nice off-zone attack, that enhance is good. It's just free momentum, or if they've got like a League of Villains or whatever the heck they've got, just destroy that thing, or just get a free momentum is great. And first form Seal of Foundation is really, really, really good.
It's basically just adding the Selkie aspect, because that's what Selkie does. It's giving you a character's ability.
Yeah, just sealing a foundation.
But,
we all know how good Irrefutable is, right? And that's the commit, and only does 3 symbolism, and yet we're more than happy to
we've
play
got
that card.
Chief saying that this is their favourite by far, and Apple saying that it's absolutely insane that Mirio gets hold of this. Yeah.
It's a punch as well, yeah.
It's a punch. We're on air, which means that Mirio can use it. All Might 3 can use it. It's on water, so Toga 2 can use it. It's an all-round absolutely great card.
It's like, again, I don't think it's doing anything bonkers, busted. It's not killing anyone on its own. It's just a really nice piece of that puzzle, right? That's how this feels to me.
Yeah.
That I'm going to want a couple of copies in if I'm doing these things.
I can definitely see it's finding homes in a lot of decks. It's a free low, and lows, as most people tell you, lows don't kill you. They're just really annoying to deal with.
Yeah, like to me, this feels like 10 times better than Chicken Kick. Like I'm a bit of a Chicken Kick hater. I'm not a huge fan, and that's like a low block, low attack. And this just takes those slots. If I'm thinking about playing that in Amajiki, this just feels like a much better role player in that deck.
Okay, let's move on to the next one, which is Trigger Transformation. The other half of why the Mimic players are so hyped up. 7 cost, 3 check, 5 mid for 6, plus 2 mid block, Fury Slam. This attack gets -1 difficulty for each asset in your stage. Maximum of 3, so it can be reduced to a 4 cost. Enhance. This attack gets +1 damage for each asset in your stage. Mimic/Katsukami enhance. Discard 1 momentum. Build 1 copy of Trigger from your discard pile.
So, I don't really know why it's got a Katsukami enhance, because I don't know why he'd be playing Trigger. I'm assuming that's more of a theme
flavor
thing. Again, I think this just says Mimic only on it. Like, I don't know, Katsukami's the life gain guy, right? He's the Bane life gain
guy.
so
Katsukami is the one that lose 1 health attack deals damage gain 2, so it's...
Yeah, like he's a 5-hander, he's not playing assets.
But
right?
I think it's more you can use this to get trigger in, use trigger to lose 2 life, gain that 2 life back. It kind of goes into his ability as well.
Yeah. Again, it just feels to me that's a flavor thing, not
Yeah,
something that's actually ever going to happen. Not that anyone's going to play Katsukame, but
I'm sure
yeah,
some
like
mad lad will.
in Mimic, this is what a 4 diff 5 mid for 9, and gets you
Minimum, yeah.
to build a thing if you've got momentum. Again, this just feels like a probably at least a
Uh,
2 to 3 of a Mimic.
I played against someone who was playing Mimic last week on TTS, and they were playing this with training weights,
Yeah,
and they got this up to like 15, 16 damage easily.
yeah,
They took 2 turns
yeah.
to set up, and it was
Like
a
I
case
think
of
maybe I underestimated Mimic, partly because I hadn't seen these cards,
it's
partly because I'm not. Again, it doesn't necessarily push my buttons, but
the
I think he could be decent actually,
the biggest
and these
issue
cards go a long
is
way.
the biggest issue with this guy is you never take it into momentum as Mimic. You let it go to your discard, you check an asset, and you add it back to your hand.
Yeah, because it just adds a 3. It has to check a 3, right? That's the rules for Mimic.
Has to check an asset, I believe.
No. When he checks an asset, he gets to add a card that checks a 3, isn't
Yeah,
it?
a check value of 3 from your discard to your hand. So
Yeah.
you check an asset, you put it into your hand. If you play
Yeah.
this and then check an asset, you add another one to your hand because it's once per turn, so it works on defense and offense.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think it's solid.
Yeah, no,
It's
this is
just a Mimic only card to me.
yeah. If I see my opponent play Mimic, I'm always holding a very low mid block, or I'm trying to make it.
Yeah, he certainly doesn't get speed, so.
I will definitely be putting confused into my sideboard of pretty much any deck I play on the symbols, just because of how much now you can play from out of zone.
Um, yeah, again, I don't know whether you play 4 copies because it does have that. You really want to be getting it at a 4 diff, right? At a
Yeah.
5 diff, 5 mid for 8, the build you thing is fine.
I mean,
But
when you're Mimic, you're literally just taking a couple of turns to set up. You get the assets down, making it cheaper. Doesn't matter if you block with it because if you check an asset, you get it back. It's it's a very utilitarian card. But let's move on to Villainous Teamwork. Love the name. I wish it had more of like we saw Teamwork. I wish it'd been an action that was all the villains or like even all of Overhaul's crew.
well, this is a bit more Crime Frog takedown, right? That
Yeah,
had like this is the one that feels like it should have had the Katsukame Mimic Enhancer did something that was more useful.
but yeah.
Um,
5 cost free check, 4 mid 5, +2 block, very similar to what we've just seen. If this card is played from any other zone than your hand, it ignores progressive difficulty. It's an ally slam, and enhance destroy 1 asset in either stage, gain health equal to its difficulty. So that
feels like a sideboard card at best, right? If assets are a problem, if there is like, let's say Mimic becomes top tier and starts, punching people around, then maybe you play this in the sideboard just as a way of clearing assets. But other than that, it's just like.
I mean, it's a sideboard tech against Momo.
But again, she doesn't really probably care that much if you kill her quick regates. Like, yeah, it's just a sideboard.
It's a nice little bonus that you get on there. But yeah,
like the way to beat Momo isn't just to blow up her crit rates because you'll just get them back again. The way to beat Momo is just to punch you in the face.
I wish Coda.
And a 5 diff 4 mid 5 is not punching Momo in the face.
I wish Coda had a way to play cards out from someone else because this is an ally on Earth for Coda that it would be really great to ignore progressive difficulty and then make itself ignore progressive difficulty.
Yeah, it's fine as a sideboard.
Yeah,
I don't know whether we'll actually see sideboards, but that's like it's an option if assets become a big thing, and I think they will get bigger. Right?
Yeah.
Like I think there's going to be a lot of twisty surroundings going around.
Oh, twisty surroundings.
I think Aries going to be all over the place. Just as like you're going to play like I'm playing those symbols. Just I'll slot one in. Like those cards feel like I'm just going to slot one in.
We've got what is suited up is starting to see more play. Assets as we know in the 500 meta, the game starts to slow down. Assets are a great way to build without going into deadlock. You still get abilities you can use, and it's something that actions and assets are something I'm very unfamiliar to play. In the Lock deck I built, I completely forgot to add Deadbolt in there because I'm not used to playing actions.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I'm not even using one of his most powerful cards. I'm an idiot. This is the one I'm most hyped for, just because of the art. Wave Motion Manipulation, love the name. 5 cost, 3 check, 4 high for 5, +2 mid block. Ranged, combo, high attack, which is not too hard on the symbols. If you have less health than your rival, this attack gets -1 difficulty. Combo enhance, commit with rival foundation, gain 2 health. Target committal is always good.
This isn't exciting, but I think it's solid. I think if you are playing like a high attack tribal, which I think a lot of Nejire stuff does, right? Then it's a 4 diff, 4 high for 5 that gains you 2 and points and collect something. He's a solid role player, right? Like if you're playing enough high attacks or you're playing like high attack tribal, then this is decent. You might play 2 or 3 copies of it.
It might find a home in Asui 1 because you can play a high. You can play attack, play amphibious, get it into kick it or get into momentum. Play this after an amphibious.
No, Asui doesn't want to play combos, right? Because she just wants to kick everything.
And then, well, I mean, you've still got to have one card in your card pool before you play it, so you can still get away with the combo. And I think the biggest thing for me on this is Shoto 1. I spoke to Shoto 1. Shoto 1 could go in there.
Yeah, as Apple says, it's a very fair card, right?
Yeah.
If you get everything, it's like, yeah, I got my money's worth. I was happy I played this card, but I'm not like, it's not tongue whip, right? This card isn't tongue whip.
No, it never will be.
It's a good solid card that you are going to consider when you're playing these decks and might end up being on the cutting room floor, or you might play like a couple of copies type thing as a that sort of thing.
It's something that you could just stick in the sideboard as they won't be expecting this card.
No, it's not that good. Like this is you want it in your main deck or not, right?
Let's lock it. Let's go to lock the foundational. Locking the building. 2 cost, 5 check, +2 mid block. It's on most of the lock symbols, but not all. It's swapped out order for void. Card pool enhance. Flip. You may play 1 ready foundation from your stage face down into your card pool as a block with a +1 block modifier to block this attack. Response destroy after an attack is played. That attack cannot leave the card pool during this combat phase.
So
I don't know why this has got lock on it when it doesn't progress his.
No, that top enhance is very good, right?
Yeah.
You block with this, and it says right now, no matter what you do, I've got a +1 mid.
Yeah.
It's just a nice little defensive piece. That bottom response could have been so much nicer. Like this is it would have been because it's after the attack is played, you have to play it. If there was a way of doing it, if it was like a response, or it was an enhance, right, and says enhance destroy, this attack cannot leave the card pool during the combat phase. I'd be so much more into this card because it means it's like, oh, you 0 grav lift that attack. No.
I mean, I think
this you have to kind of pick first.
I think this is a solid sideboard tech on these symbols against Jiro and Asui.
Because Asui's not doing much at the moment.
If you take
it's basically, do you want that top enhance, right? That's what you're playing this card for. The bottom response is going to be negligible, and it's like, is it worth giving up a resource to do this?
I mean,
if they're not necessarily even going to do the thing.
If I build this down and then I'm against Jiro on turn 2, they go Jolt. I haven't got Faith Shield, and I go, okay, I'll take it. And then they go, it's the explosive leash. You go, cool. That isn't going anywhere.
Yeah, but it has. But the trouble is, it's like a on face thing, right? They'll just wait until they can commit it down. They'll just, okay, my jolt goes to momentum. Cool. Build next turn. Jolt. Commit this down. Yeah. Now I'll go in. Like it's very play aroundable.
Yeah, but it still buys you a turn, which is
sure. I think it does things. It's just how much play that ends up seeing. Again, it's one of those like it's because our card pool is now so big with 5. It's kind of hard to sometimes find room for these tech pieces.
Yeah.
And it might be a sideboard card for those like Giro IER type greedy things, assuming that's still a thing. Um,
Apple says it should be on response after an attack resolves. Which,
yes,
yeah.
either it should be after attack resolves or as an enhance to say this attack can now no longer leave during the combat phase.
So you bet you. Uh,
So it could play around zero. So basically, it plays around zero grav lift.
it
I'd be
also.
much more high on this card
I
because
think.
zero grav lift is a bit very like a very widely played card.
Yeah.
Like I want this to hose zero grav lift, and it doesn't really.
I think this also shuts down Ochako 2. You still get the +2. You still get the +2 to the block, but you don't get to pick up the card anymore, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think this is definitely solid sideboard against Jiro and Ochako 2. How much of those we're going to see?
Doing that thing, and like it's got a reasonable enhance, but if you're blocking with it,
Yeah.
So
the biggest thing is the fact that you can go block, and as we've seen, we've heard Nathan talking about playing a Rapper Funny Punch deck and just having that ability to go, yeah, I got a block one mid, just waiting to do something. And it's on Void, which means you can run Tape as well, which means you can set up any attack to be blocked by it.
Like this would be a consideration for those tech piece slots for all for one, my Void all for one.
Yeah.
Like this is a card that I'd consider playing in that just because it gives me those blocks. And I can.
And against Void All for One, the destroy ability means you can't kick attacks from your card pool for EX.
No, that doesn't. Well, you'd have to basically.
Yeah, you'd have to prepare for that by doing it on an earlier attack. But yeah, and as Apple points out, it's a great anti-Bakugo one tech.
Yeah, but again, it's like it has to be worth the resource, right? So
I think it's a solid sideboard card and possibly mainboarding one or two of. If you're going to like your locals where Bakugo 1 or Jiro or Ochako 2 is regularly played. I think it's a very specific card, but I think it fills a niche that these symbols have needed. Up in Flames,
I think
the best art of the set, of the Plus Ultra sets, in my opinion, because it's just nuts.
Not close.
2 check, 5 cost, +3 mid low block. There they are again. It's a Breaker 1. Enhance, add this foundation to your card pool. If there are no cards in your rival's card pool, they add 1 asset or foundation with a keyword from the stage to their card pool and build a top card deck committed. So I really like this. I think.
So one thing I'm not sure about is how the verbiage is working here. Is it an asset brackets or foundation with a keyword brackets, or is it asset or foundation brackets with a keyword? I.e., does the asset have to have a keyword, or is it just the foundation?
I imagine it's both. So if you have no foundations with keywords, you have to choose an asset with a keyword.
But like, does the asset have to have a keyword? That's the bit I'm not sure about, and I'm assuming Apple in the chat will tell us because he's a judge. Right? Does it is it asset or
easy
or
way
foundation
to do this?
With a keyword, or is it asset or?
I would say it is any asset or. I would say it would be because so Momo is worded as one asset or weapon foundation. So that would be any asset or a weapon foundation. The way this is worded, I would say that the asset or the foundation would need to have a keyword. But I'm sure Apple.
That's my assumption, but it's also one of those things that isn't 100% clear, right?
If it had been asset or foundation, open bracket with a keyword, close bracket, then yeah, that would have been both. But I'm sure it'll show up in the FAQ as well, which we were supposed to get Friday. But
I mean, either way, I don't think this card's amazing. Like, I don't know if people are playing enough assets or foundations with keywords. Like, he's obviously great against Momo, maybe a sideboard against her sort of thing.
See, I think this might find a
But
home.
even then, actually adding it to her carpool sometimes good for her, right? Because she gets to do things with it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think adding this into
Yeah, against Momo,
um
this is probably terrible.
adding this into an all Momo or a all
Training weights doesn't, McApple. I'm sure
ah,
training weights doesn't because people have been cheating on. I've seen people cheat on stream and done Momo things with training weights, and it does not have the weapon keyword.
it doesn't
I
need the
know, I know.
it doesn't need the weapon keyword.
For Momo, it absolutely
No,
has to have weapon.
asset or weapon foundation. Any asset can be built in a Momo.
No, no, no. Her other thing where she goes and gets a weapon card.
Oh no, she just picks up any card. I believe.
No, no, no. You definitely can't Momo training weights. The thing I'm thinking of, yeah, training weights does not have any keywords.
No, train which doesn't have any keywords.
And Momo one
Add
says
a weapon card from your discard card, but yes, you can't pick up train weights.
yes,
Okay.
and people have picked up training weights from their discard pile using that enhance, and that does not work.
I think this will see
Um,
play in specific decks, but I don't think it's going to see generic play.
it's gonna be very limited play against maybe a sideboard thing against people that are doing that thing, but like against an ally deck, it's good against, but like ally decks don't do anything. So yeah, I don't see it. Again, it's like a 2-3 low. Again, it's got break one, which is nice. So, Bubble Girl.
Yeah,
So before we
oh,
discuss, I
okay.
suppose we should discuss the drama, right? Before we discuss what she does, we should discuss the drama with Bubble Girl.
What drama with Bubblegirl?
Again,
Bubblegirl's fine.
you know what I'm talking about. So obviously this is one of the other things that caused everyone on Discord to lose their fucking minds. So this is obviously the provisional season 2.
Yeah.
So there's obviously been some changes to provisional season 2. So my understanding is the stores haven't got quite as many. So where maybe they got 3 previously, they're only getting 2. So in a way, and I understand people don't necessarily like that, but also it felt they were a bit oversaturated season 1. There was too many of them. They lost a bit of value. I actually think reducing the amount, putting more weight on the existing ones is better. 2, there's there's 2 extra promos now, and they're a lot better than season 1.
Yeah, they're a lot better.
Perfect, great. 3, the amount of promos you get in general, I think is better. I think the payouts are better from them. Great, that's a positive. And I believe now they've only put the invite to the winner and haven't done anything based on number of spots. So before it'd be like if you got 16, I think you got 2.
Yeah, winner and second place.
Yeah, but now I do not believe that's the case. Am I wrong?
I would get that double checked. I didn't see anything about that in the thing.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm not 100% on that. But I believe that might be the case.
Yeah, so you get
the last one is the big one,
yeah.
Which is the winner is the only person, to the best of my knowledge, to get themselves a Bubble Girl. And obviously, people lost their fucking minds.
Why though?
And I get it to a certain extent, right? I'm not going to sit here and defend mechanically unique promos. I'm not. However, for me, the pain and the sort of ickiness is deflated because you can redeem them.
Exactly.
Mechanically unique promos that you can't redeem, they can fuck off into the sun.
Yeah.
Right? Redemption to me fixes basically the problems. Obviously, then you've got the embargo, which I think in general is a mistake.
Who's embargoing?
For the length of time. I understand their reasons, and I think a lot of what they're doing, and I think people are missing the point here of what Jasco are trying to do with these changes, is they are trying to empower LGSs.
Yeah.
Right? They're trying to push competitive level play. They're trying to make people say, go and play, and there's really good reasons to go and play LGSs. And that to me is absolutely positive. And I feel sorry for those people that do not have LGSs and local play groups. And I get it, and I feel for you. But I think from a company and game perspective, it's absolutely correct for Jasco to be pushing and giving LGSs the focus and the power and like the prestige from doing this. Um,
So I don't believe these are going to be legal immediately. If
again,
I asked Guile and he says he get back to me, that was a while ago. But if it follows suit from last time, and the fact that they've said previously provisional promos will not be legal on release because they learned from season 1, season 2, season 3, I don't think these will be legal till September because
yeah,
that's when
it's
we.
quite possible these are legal in the future. We do not know about the legality of them. If these are legal immediately
That's a
and then you
big
can only
shit.
redeem them, then that's a bit of a fuck up because it puts this one character and someone might go out there and break Bubble Girl. I don't think so. We'll get to that. But, it's quite possible that, a mad scientist like a Chris Bromley or like
A
a
Jose,
Jose
Tim Keefe.
or a Tim Keefe or a Broberg or something goes out and breaks Bubble Girl, and it's like, well, there's only like 50 copies in the world, and so only the rich get richer. They get to play this broken Bubble Girl, and obviously that becomes a whole different problem.
Can I just put
Um,
one more name out there that might break it because we haven't name dropped him yet. So.
oh yeah, no, he's not that good. We can't put him in. We can't put him in that echelon. Like
Oh,
we can't do it.
I tried. I was gonna get you your money for this episode, but Richard had stopped me. I tried.
Yeah. Um, he knows who we're talking about.
Yeah,
Anyway,
but yeah, no.
um,
I think the big issue with this solves a big issue with provisionals last season as well.
yeah,
I know people hate it, but I took
they
part.
felt a bit devalued, right? No
Yeah.
one cared about the promos
By the end of the
because they weren't
season,
very good. Obviously, there was characters in there, and like I've got a stack of like 10 bloody All Might sevens sitting upstairs or whatever. Like, no one cared,
yeah.
and like the other two promos were like very character locked. No one cared,
By the
and you
end
only
of
got three
this,
of them, and you got a million of them. Again, they're trying to make these valuable, and even and having this bubble girl, this sort of chase thing for the winner, means that for all the billions of people that already have the bloody invites, they all of a sudden need to go and compete for them.
yeah.
And making these provisionals a competitive event that people want to go and bust some chops and turn up with their A games, I think is a good thing. And I know a lot of people say, "Oh no, they should be like quite more casual." No, no, no. This is our local premier competitive play, right? Then you've got your regionals, which are like your statewide, national level competitive play, and you've got your nationals and your worlds, right? These should be competitive. If you want to play casual shit, then like that's what your locals, your weekly, monthly, whatever is about. That's your kitchen table stuff. These
As,
should feel like a competitive training ground for going up those levels. These should be a competitive event where you're taking your A game. To me, anyway, that's my
especially
opinion.
especially in areas like mine, where
Mm.
yes, if a player is really desperate for for a seat at the nationals, they can travel a bit further, go to Eastbourne, go to Folkestones. But in my area, we've got a consistent 8 to 12 players that show up to Southampton. I show up every so I'm going to try and get down there more now, but I went down there, and I was talking with Andrew. I was talking with Owen. Owen's got his invite. Kai's got his invite. Rob's got his invite. I got my invite. But now the pressure's on for players like Andrew,
Yeah,
for players like Kaylee who want to go to nationals, but also can't make it to the RLE, which is your biggest chance to get a hold of tickets. So they've now got 3 events. If they do not get an invite in these 3 events, they don't make nationals, and that is a huge amount of pressure. And yes, 4 of the people that I'll be playing have already got invites, but that's
but there's a
still.
good chance it carries down, right?
But there's still 8 players that want that invite there.
Yeah, like these should feel like a thing. You should feel like you've earned your invite. Like it, these store provisionals shouldn't be a thing where I feel like I've got my invite. I'm just gonna turn up with Shinzo Funny Punch because fuck it, why not? Like I should be turning up thinking I want to win this thing. I want to turn up with my A game, my best decks, and
Why
play
you
something
why
good,
are you gonna
right?
call me out like that? I literally turned up to my last provisional with Dabby 2 Funny Punch. I took
Yeah, but
second.
Yeah, but I played Shinzo Funny Punch and didn't do anything with
Yeah.
it. It was bad. So like that's what I was saying is like
Yeah.
I should be turning up with a good deck or turning up with my A game, right?
Well, but
So I think
that was the issue with set one, season one, which you got three promos. You got three promos just for showing up, and then as you did better, you end up with multiple copies of the same promo, and that's why I like the distribution of the four promos a lot more. It gives a
yeah,
lot more. It gives a lot more urgency to these events, especially for me
yeah.
who's missing out
I
on a
think
couple. But yeah,
and again, if you think about these things, rather than jumping onto Discord and wow, Jasco are the worst, if you actually think about what they are trying to do, there is a clear message here of they're trying to empower the LGSs, they're trying to make these valuable. Even the whole Bubble Girl thing, and like that's the part of it that I kind of get the beef from, right? I understand that locking this character behind this thing, but we don't know that. I don't know whether the kits. I know they used to come with like non-4 versions. We don't know. Like there might be random Bubble Girls in the kind of door prizey type ones. I don't think so. I think it's better if she's locked to the winner
yeah,
because
uh,
she's redeemable. And
yeah. That's it.
if the redemption date is the same as the legality date, then everyone can just stop their whining. And sure, there might be a bit of a like gap, but usually you can redeem in person, right?
Yeah, the
So I think
fact.
even the redemption date is 90 days, but that's usually for the mail redemption. I believe that in-person redemption was actually you could get these things a lot sooner before. Certainly, I think in Plus Ultras.
I don't think so. I think for the big events, so we might see Bubble Girl and the Provisionals early because it's I think it's
Maybe,
closest. But yeah,
but again, as long as and I think it's an easy fix as long as Jasco handles the legality and the redemption thing. Then there's literally nothing people can
there's
whine
no
about.
way she should be legal on release. September the 1st is a great date for her to go legal. It's close to nationals, gives time for testing at nationals. There's not many hours. I don't think there'll be only a couple of hourlies left after that. I think
And
that's
again, the
perfect.
communication side of it. I know Jasco haven't necessarily said anything because they want to make sure they get it right. Because like there's already been people crying the fucking all the water out of their body. If they say something that's wrong, then it's going to get even worse. So they want to make sure they consider their decisions, get it right, and that's when they put the info
So
out, right?
before we move on to the next cards, I will just go into this. I'm one of the big people that says for EU, Jasco should be attending events. They should be having Asmodee demoing the game at Comic Con, at gaming events like Game Expo. But as other people have pointed out to me, I'm talking to them. If there are no local game stores, if there is not local game stores for these players to go back to and actually take part in events and actually want to be running these events, then they can have they can have all the interest in the world, but the game's not going to get played. So Jasco prioritizing local stores, getting players, getting butts in the seats, getting with these Plus Ultras, which is why they've been handing out some Plus Ultra packs for free in the last
I
few
don't know if you've
months.
heard about. Have you heard about the demo kits?
No?
Right. So, Mana Gaming, my locals in Eastbourne, they've been sent a demo kit, and I think
Oh,
they even got sent two, which is I think a box of set one, two, maybe four of all the Deku Bakugo Clash decks, some really nice like vinyl Deku Bakugo playmats with like zones on, a bunch of like the demo decks for free.
that's really cool.
My There is a board game cafe in Hastings that I'm trying to because I've got my friend kind of semi hooked in the game and he's trying to get some OP going there and we're going to try and do a demo day there. They sent him one of these kits with a box of set one with a couple of Deku things with posters, playmats, demo decks to hand out, and they said just give anyone that plays, give them a booster and stuff. He's been sent one of those kits for free. Jasco are trying to enable LGSs because that's how you go to the game. They're doing the right things. People need to stop their whinging.
Yeah, no, that's the biggest gripe I've got with my local game store, and I haven't bought anything from them since because I don't like protesting, but I also don't like the way that they said it. Is I was talking to people in the store when I was in there. I was talking about the game. They were really interested, and I turned to the guy running it and I go, "If we get enough interest, maybe they'll start running events." And he just literally turned around and went, "No, we have no intention of supporting this game. It would clash too much with all the other games we're supporting. So no matter how big people, how many people asking for it, we won't be running organized play this event." I was like, "That's insane." Jasco is. I know Jasco have offered you help. I'm offering to get this game in
Like
here.
they don't charge for plus ultra kits anymore. They don't go
Yeah.
through Asmodee. They just send them to play. Like again, they do it. We need to stop, or else I'm going to keep
No,
ranting.
but yeah,
Anyway,
let's move on to the next one because we could absolutely rant about this all day, and I'm happy to rant about my local game store, because the chances are they
so
will never see
Bubble
this.
Girl,
Bubble
all the
Girl,
blue symbols. Air, good, water. 7 hand size, 20. Enhance once per turn. Name a card. Copy the name card. Get +2 to their block modifier until the end of this turn. Enhance commit 1 foundation. This attack gets +X minus X speed. X equals block modifier. Think she's cool and does some cool things. Don't
yeah,
think she's that great. She's pretty mid. I'm
she
sure.
Midnight Light.
Um,
I like to call it Midnight Light.
yeah, I'm sure there's some cool schmooze you can do with her. I'm sure there's some cool things, but like commit for some speed. It has to be a lot of speed for me to want to commit for it. Um,
My biggest issue is the fact that all of her symbols are exactly the same as Toru 2, and Toru 2
yeah,
kind of does everything that she's doing.
I think she's more aggressive, right? Um,
Is she
uh,
though? I'm told she still doesn't kill Semi. Yeah, commit your foundation for plus
I mean,
X.
sure, but she gets to like 1.3 million's got a 2 block mod, right? So
Yeah,
you get to give it +2 and then commit 4 speed to 1.3 million. Like that's a schmooze she can do, which
but
is pretty good.
but Toru 2 does the exact same thing because you're guaranteed a minimum of +1
Yeah.
to the block mod. So
Yes. Like so there's again I this isn't a character that kind of screams to me to do a certain thing, right? And I'm sure obviously you can use her kit and there might be other things you can do with her. And it's probably I'm sure there's a good reason that one with ancient arm resistant a good symbol. Um I think there's probably things you can do. I think she's going to be one of those C tier characters, right? That
yeah,
is fun to locals, but I don't know that she's
I think it's a Chaco. It's a Mina 2 situation. The more support she gets, the stronger she gets. She has decent
yeah.
abilities on face, but there's nothing to utilize them at the minute. I think this once per turn ability for naming a card is always going to be played on your own cards to just mean that you get more speed. So if you said indiscriminate shot, if you said 1.3 million, it then gets +2 to its block modifier, which means it gets +4 speed, which is great. But Midnight does it better. Midnight immediately gives it +4 speed
Yeah.
without having to do anything like that.
Yeah, like again, yeah, it's probably just like a worse version of Midnight to an extent. I'm sure there's stuff we can do with her, but again, she's not a character that screams to me, so we
No.
can move on.
Yeah.
But good luck to everyone in their store provisionals coming up next season. Quick plug: July
This
15th,
one,
16th,
this,
Eastbourne Manifest.
this one had me just reeling when I got released. Charging Shield Breaker, +2 low block, 5 cost, 2 check, 2 mid for 7, Breaker 1 punch. This attack, enhance this attack gets +1 speed for each ready rival foundation. So late game, first attack, this is a 12 for 7.
It's cool.
Yeah.
Probably worth the 2. It does sure go for 7. It's definitely got a 2 low breaker, which is nice. Like Earthfire, good. So it's a punch on good. It's a punch on Earth. It's effectively saying like, you're going to need to check a lot to block this, and it's got high damage. I don't know what Shell wants this card, but I can certainly see it played.
All Might 3. All Might 3 actually loves this card.
Yeah, but the question is like again, is it that much better than the alternative to justify the 2? That's to me. It's like if this had a 3, right, then it almost certainly sees a lot of play. With a 2, that's when you have to question is it better than the other options in these slots?
I absolutely love. I think this is going to see quite a bit of play in the right decks, but the later
it's
the
certainly
game,
cool. Again, it's certainly one of those cards I'm going to consider and like, okay, is it worth the 2?
The later the game goes on, this is it gets worse because your rival's not going to have as many ready foundations unless they've been in trouble. It's not great against Mimic, but if I draw this on turn 2, I am more than happy to just play this down and go, cool, deal my 6 or 7 mid for 7.
And it's like if you check right, so it's got base 2, right?
Yeah,
And what it says is if you check a 3 on the block, you're committing all your foundations,
yeah.
right?
Uh,
Assuming like a +1 mid block because it's got speed for everyone. So if you check a 3, you're committing everything to block this.
yeah. Then this
Um,
into Valiant Assault or into Texas Smash is going to be really good. I think this, if Ultra 2 was still at full power, this would be absolutely nuts.
Probably.
But other than that, I don't think it sees wild play because of the 2 check. But I think
Again, it's a breaker block on low, which is
yeah.
nice. There aren't many low breakers.
I think it's time we move past the fear of the 2 check. It's something I need to
Yeah.
address. But we see is that to see more 1 and 2 checks being played. Moving on to Maximum Overhaul. Absolutely love this card. 5 cost, 3 check, 2 mid block, 4 low for 5 on Earth, Evil, Fire, Enhance. If you have played a card from anywhere other than your hand this combat phase, add up to 3 face down foundations to your hand. This attack gets +1 speed, +1 damage for each card added this way. Overhaul Enhance. Build 1 card from your hand face up or face down.
So this you're missing the keyword on this. It says overhaul.
Yeah.
Like to me, this is overhaul only, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't want to play this card in any other character. Because just bouncing 3 foundations to make this a 7 for 8, it's like whatever. I can do better than that without that much of a cost. Like bouncing, like even say just bouncing 1. So I've committed. So I check a 3. I commit my 2 as my first attack. I bounce those. I build one of those face down, whether that's face up, down, whichever they've done. Like, I flip to draw a card off a chivalrous or something, and I
Yeah.
now build it face up again. Like, there's moves you can do with this. I don't think it's the bonkers. Oh my god, this is going to get banned type of card. I
No.
think it's good. I think it's solid.
If it didn't have the word overhaul in, if it wasn't character gated, it might get to insane.
Yeah,
But
maybe. But I obviously it sort of is still because you have to have played. If it didn't have if you have played a card from anywhere other than your hand,
yeah,
then it becomes crazy. But because it's very gated to having done that, it's very gated to very specific characters. Like
Samir, do you know what card I like in Nomu? Locked Up. I think Locked Up has got Nomu potential for sure. Say 4 mid for 9 that gets +1 for each committed rival foundation. But Maximum Overhaul, I like it. I think late game, if you're worried about being in deadlock, just be able to pick up 3 face down cards and go, cool. I can now build these face up cards and get them back and hold these for defensive purposes. It's also great for snack time if you want to keep your thing going. You've now got 3 more cards you can pitch to snack time. I think it's going to have a lot of stuff on that. Carol Counter is going to be great in them as well. I'm sure Jacob is testing these furiously.
again, I think it's good, but I just don't think it's the be all and end all that I think a lot of people are saying it is.
This
one, I think it's solid.
This one this one makes me want to play even though it's a 1 check. Even though there's a 1 or 2 of it in Deku 1, Deku 2.
So like
I'll let you describe. As you've been doing Deku 2, I'll let you go over this card.
Yeah, so it's a 6/1, 1/4 unleashed, 1 mid block. So it's a base 5 mid 4/6. It's got a deadlock enhance of draw 4 cards, which is if that ever happens and you don't win the game, then you just sort of need to reconsider your life. It's got Fury Punch. It's on Earth, Good, and Life. So Deku 2 symbols. Response card pool. Once per enhanced step, after you discard a card, pay for a cost during your attack. Build the discarded card face down. This goes hard in Deku 2.
Yeah.
Which is a character I've been playing with. I put together as one of the few card decks I put together from set 5. Maybe slight spoilers for people I see at the for the regional in Eastbourne in July 15th. Manifest Eastbourne, check it out. Facebooks and all that. Because he's one I'm very much considering for that. And it certainly do have a 1 check, but it certainly is very good. Effectively saying, like, in Deku 2, as long as you've got cards to fuel yourself, which between things like Valiant Assault, Thingamajig, Passing the Torch, all that jazz, you've got cards to fuel yourself. You're ignoring, once you pay the cost for this, going forward, you're effectively ignoring progressive, right? Because you're just discarding one, building one, that's my progressive paid for. And you're just keeping going. So as long as you can fuel the cards, especially if you deadlock draw 4, you're just playing every attack in your hand, you're ignoring progressive. And also getting +1, +2 and everything. I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, this should have been a 5-2 or something." No. This is worth a 1 check. I think. Like it's very. Once you pay the cost, you're ignoring progressive for the turn as long as you can do it on every attack.
I don't know if Macapel's still here, but what happens if you discard multiple cards? Do you just pick one, or?
Once it says after you discard, I don't know if there's anything that requires. So does it share a symbol with latent skill?
So powerful on Deku 4 if you play powerful.
Again, you only get to discard 1 card. So when it says discard a card to pay for a cost, that is generally speaking, if it doesn't say otherwise, it's from hand, right?
Yeah. Petty Squabble.
So
Petty Squabble's got Earth. You discard 2 cards, draw 2 cards.
No, the discarding cards is not a cost.
Oh no, it's not. Latent skill isn't on good.
Okay. Let's just say latent skill magically has the Earth symbol.
Yeah.
I don't know how latent skill works with this. Do you build them both, or do you build one? I don't know if there's anything else that just is a discard multiple, draw multiple, or something along those lines, or discard multiple to do a thing. I don't know. Does this share with snack time? Does Earth have snack time of Earth? It does, right?
It does. Yeah, snack time of Earth, but that's all. Yeah, but that's only once per enhanced step, and it's only 1 card with snack time.
Yeah, but sure. But like, if you're not playing Deku 2, right, this goes hard with snack time because you're +1 speed, stun 1, build it. +1 speed, stun 1, build it.
Single spiral. Lose 1 life. If this attack is blocked, draw 2 cards, discard 2 cards. So
that has life, I guess.
Yeah, that's life.
Yeah. Okay. Again, I don't know how that works, but like, I don't think you'll play those 2 in the same deck anyway.
Yeah. No. I'm interested. I mean, it all depends, but it's just one. It's a niche thing that if it does work, well, because it
suggests single, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, I would suggest it only works for a single one of the cards, but
it's one of those things because it says if you discard a card, can you even trigger it if you discard 2 cards? Because you've not discarded a card, you've discarded multiple cards.
Yeah, I don't know.
This is an FAQ. It's nice deadlock threat on symbols that need more deadlock threat as well.
Yeah. And obviously, like, if I wanted to play this, like, I'd probably play it as like a 2-of. Like, I don't think you're playing a 6-1 as like a 4-of in that deck.
Does this...
And, like, do you ignore the 1, or do you bend your foundation base and therefore, like, play a lot more 0s and 1s rather than and move away from like, the 2s and 3s? I don't know. Because there's like those 2 trains of thought, right? Yeah. Either you just say, I'm never checking the 1, I'm good. I'm a lucky SOB.
Yeah.
Or I need to bend my deck and play around that.
I think if this had fire, or if it could get into Bakugo, or it could get into Rapper, or it could get into anything that's got cool student that could negate the 1 check. But I think on the symbols it's got, that 1 check is a huge deal to have to deal with because you can't manipulate your checks as well.
And I think because of that, it probably won't see play, but I think it is good enough to see play.
Yeah, I think running this as a 1-of or 2-of, like putting the sideboard for if you want to feel a bit spicy, no one's going to question it. I think even if you just reviewed this turn 1, the fact you've reviewed this would put your opponent on an edge that this is in there somewhere. Moving on to the final card of the promos. Rescue Counterattack, 5 cost 3 check, +2 low block, 5 mid for 4, Fury Slam. Response, after you block with this card, add it to your hand during the end phase, and enhance this attack gets +X damage X equals the highest block modifier among cards in your card pool.
This just feels like a very solid role player, right? Again, I don't think it's necessarily like I want to play 4 of this guy, but just as a nice rounding out your low blocks, like you've got your 4 cards of whatever, that's my low block, and then I'm like, I want another couple. Like this is like filling out that. It doesn't do anything necessarily exciting. It's like effectively like a 5 mid for 6, like probably maybe a 5 mid for 7.
This could
which
see...
is fine.
Yeah.
But just being able to block and out your hand, I assume Saber, this is the one you're talking about, like in Nomu, which again feels very good. You get to hold it, block with it, and with that low hand size, you're sort of not being overly penalised for it. You get to pick it back up and then just like slam it down as a 5 mid for 11 at least.
I'm just looking. I'm looking at the symbols, and this could also see play in Bubble Girl.
I don't know whether any modifiers. Yeah, I mean it could do. It could play. You could put an area.
It becomes what? It becomes a 5. If you did it on yourself, it becomes a 5/8, and then you commit one foundation, it becomes a 9/8. It's pretty decent. But yeah, apart from that, the plus damage feels okay. It's going to become a minimum of a 6 damage. The response getting to add it back on a low block seems really good. We've seen it on other on the
like all kinds. Very that's one of the things it really likes, being able to just say, okay, I'll block the mobile seizing and I'll add it back or anything.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, no, it feels good. It feels solid. Like again, it's not like overly exciting. It's not like doing really cool things like the 6/1 like that previous card, or like the overhaul attack. It's just like a very solid role play.
I think this and Maximum Overhaul will see the most play, but I think One for All will have the most impact when it gets played.
But yeah, so all these are really cool promos. Like none of these, I would say, are unplayable. They all have their spots, and it's just like the 1 and the 2 check. People just tend to shy away from them, which I think is the reason they don't necessarily see as much play, but I think they're good enough to.
I'm more hyped for these than I was the Set 1 promo, but that's mainly because All Might 7 had been spoiled like a year beforehand as well.
Yeah, like you already had it, right? Well, I mean,
I had multiple copies. Yeah.
Yeah, like there was the Bull Might, there was the
Sword Might.
Yeah. So, yeah, people already had the copies. They don't care, and they didn't. And there's a muscular attack. Cool. No one likes muscular. He's bad. And there was like a twice toga thing. It's like
I like that. I like that foundation.
Like I think that twice toga thing is actually kind of cool as like a one-off, like in a toga. But like that was like it. Like you just didn't care about getting the 4 copies, whereas these are like, I want 4 copies of each to do the thing.
It's also the design. I like the twice toga one for the art more than anything else. And then you look at the art on these promos, and they've gone so hard.
And actually, all of these feel like cards that you could quite happily maybe have a couple of. These are like maybe 1 or 2 ofs in decks. They're not necessarily straight 4 ofs, which is good for those people that don't necessarily get to go to a lot of these or win them, so they can come away with their 1 or 2 copies and they're like, I've actually got enough to play in a deck. And obviously, redemption comes along, which means you can get those redemptions.
My biggest...
I think it's positive. I think these are good.
I think the biggest appeal of Season 1 was the invites, and I think the biggest appeal of Season 2 now is these promos. Because, as we were saying, towards the end of Season 1, I was taking part in Provisionals just to keep numbers up with my locals, just to see my locals. I didn't need the promos. I didn't care what I was playing. But with these and with Bubble Girl, I will be trying to take down as many Provisionals as I can, because I'm going to be playing a lot harder than I did Season 1, because I want that Bubble Girl. Yeah, I can redeem it, but I want the foil one because I like shiny things.
Yeah, and I think everyone's going to be, and that's a good thing. It makes people going to travel. People want to be competitive. Great. These tournaments should be competitive. They should be getting the juices flowing,
Exactly. So, that's the big key thing.
So I think, obviously we rambled on probably quite a while there. That covers all that.
I was partially expecting us to be well more than done by this point and then going on to other things, but we did spend like a good half an hour covering the news that I just dropped, which we won't
Yeah,
kind of
and
discuss.
I may have ranted a little bit.
What is the point of our podcast if we don't get to express our opinions about topics unfiltered?
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know what we're going to cover next week. We did have a bit of ramble about talking about maybe some attack packages going through that, but that requires a bit of homework that I haven't done any of yet. But
We don't have anything.
obviously, if any of you listeners, whether that be you guys in Twitch chat or people listening on YouTube or Spotify, if you've got any ideas or things you want us to discuss, feel free to just comments. Obviously, if you're on YouTube, do the stuffs. The like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. Let us know if there's anything you want to talk about or discuss.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing.
Any other comments? Obviously, we'll read them all.
We can rant about any topic in there. We can
Mhm.
come up with topics, but we would really love to know what you want us to cover. So
Yeah.
on Twitch, on YouTube, leave the comments. Feel free to message me personally. I have a lot more free time than Richard. Or if you want to message Richard as well, he can get to you. Let us know what topics you want us to cover. Let us know what you think can improve the channel. Just let us know what we're doing well. We have a very limited idea what we're actually doing here. We just hope we're being entertaining.
Basically, yes. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else I need to talk about. So I'm sure there's something else I mentioned. Can't remember, but yeah, obviously check out where obviously your local season 2 store provisionals are. For those down in the south, like I say, Eastbourne, there's Manifest, which is like a big sort of semi-convention thing. Which my LGS, which is really supportive for the game, despite the fact that it's only basically me and my son that play it there. They're putting on a store provisional. We're trying to have a whole bunch of Plus Ultra promos from like all 5 seasons there as prizes. And I'll be doing a demo stall. I was gonna just sort of judge and demo, but obviously Bubble Girl means I now have to play and win. But that's a cool 2-day event, and they've obviously got a lot more stuff going on on those days. So yeah, come down and check that out. And they've got another one, I think, in September. And then Famous Collectibles down in Bexhill. I've got a couple. They've got dates. So if you're not on, they're all on they should be on the main Facebook group, and I'm sure Jessica will advertise them. I'm sure there'll be maybe one in Folkestone. You've got one down in your way in Southampton,
which is on the 15th as well, and there's the webcam hourly, which is on the 15th. Which is why I think next week, what might be really good is because you'll be settling on your provisional deck. If we went over, if we actually went over what your choices are, what you're looking to play, and what you think is going to be competitive going in there, because the week after this, our next podcast will be when the big events actually start hitting up for us.
Well, I've got an idea for next week. I won't say it because there's no point, again, until we can put it into practice. Like I said earlier, there's no point doing it. Definitely stealing it from someone else's idea, but I think it'd be a cool thing to do for season 2 RLAs. I'll talk to you offline, secrets chat. You'll find out, or we'll just come on and talk nonsense for an hour and a half next week. But yeah, so I think with that,
we'll start.
Love for you that are watching, especially Twitch chat that are joining us. Thank you for joining us, guys. And love for all those watching on YouTube, listening on Spotify.